Last week you were able to see our first video for this new season of This Is Us. We do hope you enjoyed it as much as we do presenting it. This week we're introducing a new format, an application video, to present to you between the black and white videos. It is our conviction that we can show issues and women have them all day long, but we need to have a resource. What does God say about these issues that we deal with? We hope through these videos that you'll be able to apply a resource of the Word of God or something said to the issue you're dealing with in your life or that video that you just watched. We hope you enjoy these. Last week, we saw a lady dealing with the loss of a child. She shared her heart, she shared the bitterness, she shared the anger, she shared the pain, and it's real. If you've lost a child out there, you know how real it is. And you know, she even addressed in her video, when people come up and say, I know what you're going through. Until you've dealt with it, we don't know what they're going through. But there's those of you sitting across the screen tonight, today, sometime, that know exactly what it means to have lost a child at a young age. Maybe it's stillborn, maybe through a miscarriage, or a 22-year-old or a 40-year-old. You know, my grandmother's lost her own son, and she's always said a mother is not supposed to outlive her children, and the grief my mama has lived in and other women I've counseled with. One of the ladies that I want to talk about right now is coming from the Bible, a story we all know, and it's the story of David and Bathsheba. Yeah, I'm bringing that up because we don't give enough attention to what that lady dealt with. We hear about David, the king, that saw this beautiful woman bathing and was able to lure her in, and we can all preach on the message that he seduced her. But the bottom line is she ended up bearing a child, and that child died. But what I want to talk about for a few moments is the idea that she, as a woman, was supposed to nurture a child. Yes, she was. But what ended up happening is she nurtured the pain. See, David got to go into his room, and for a short season, he was in sackcloth and ashes. He was in grieving. He was in mourning. And when Nathan came to David and he said, your baby has died, what did David do? He got up, he washed his face, he ate a big old meal. Let's say he ate a big old steak meal. And he went into the temple and he worshiped. But that was a lady who had nurtured that baby in her womb. And not only did she nurture a baby in her womb, but she started to nurture the pain. As David was off dancing in the temple, I could imagine her behind the doors, and she was grieving and mourning the loss of that child. And I'm not talking about men today, but I'm saying that sometimes men get over things easier than women do. Sometimes it's easier for us to just move on, and some of us it's not as easy. But for this lady, Bathsheba, she had nurtured the pain. She had nurtured the grief. She had nurtured the torment of losing that child, and as David was off worshiping, she was left mourning. Have you ever been left mourning? You see your friends living life and you think, if they only knew the real pain I was in. If they only knew what it feels like when I see a child in the restaurant playing in the balls and I'm missing my child, or I wonder what my child would have been like. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. I've experienced grief in my own ways, but I know there's ladies out there have done the same. Bathsheba was left nurturing that pain, harboring that pain. But there's a part of the story we don't hear about a lot. David came to Bathsheba's door and said, let me in. What he knew was within that lady, she would be destined to carry a king. She was the one that would bring forth the lineage of Jesus Christ. But what she had to do is she had to open that door to David, who represents Jesus Christ, our comforter. If she would have never let David back into that chamber, she never would have bore the destiny. So what I'm saying in that message is, outside of the grief, outside of the pain, outside of the years, you've carried this for years. You got to know that there's a Jesus knocking at your door. And he's saying, if you let me in, I'm going to comfort you like nobody can. That food that you're leaning to, that alcohol you're leaning to, that secret that you're dealing with to hide the pain, he says, I'm the one that can take it away from you. Let me in. I'm standing at the door and I'm knocking. Will you let me in? Because I am the only comfort. Bathsheba let the King David back into her chamber. And within that time, they bore a child named Solomon. And we know that Solomon grew up to be a great king, and he was the lineage of Jesus Christ. If Bathsheba had never let the king in to comfort her, she never would have bore her destiny. My message to you today is, even though you may be nurturing pain, even though you may be nurturing grief that nobody else knows about, you've kept it secret for so long, today, I pray that this message, as short as it is, ministers to you to say, Jesus is at the door of your heart knocking and saying, if you'll let me in, I'll comfort you. There's destiny inside of you that grief is overtaking. There's destiny inside of you that depression is overtaking. There's destiny inside of you that habit you're leaning to is keeping from happening. Will you let the Savior in? He says, I stand at the door and knock, and whosoever lets me in, I will sup and I will dine and I will be there for him. And I'm asking you today, let Jesus take this grief. Let him take the pain and heal the broken places, because I promise you, you have a destiny. If it's nothing more to do than to do what you saw that lady do, sit in a white chair and share her story, your story, of what God brings you through out of this. That's destiny. We have forsaken the idea that ministry is behind a pulpit. Ministry is one to another. That's the power of ministry. I pray you've been blessed. I pray you were blessed through the video you have seen about the loss of a child. Next week, we're going to be sharing a video with you that's powerful, and it's about a lady who became a caregiver. It wasn't her choice. Life sometimes happens, but what you do in that time is what God can do with you. We bless you from This Is Us Ministries.